Welcome back, folks. Again, we're working on a 2015 Teryx4 made by Kawasaki. They call it an 800, but it's actually a 783cc engine, which you can see here. One of our last videos we needed to remove the crankshaft bolt to get to the flywheel slash stator housing is what I'm going to call it. That is this whole assembly here. Bolt we were able to remove with an impact wrench. There's no way to hold the other side of the crank to keep the motor from turning. One of the things, once you get this loose, you need a special tool that threads onto the end of this nose of this flywheel here. The first tool I ordered, unfortunately, last week was incorrect. I did get the correct size in today. It's made by Motion Pro out of China. It is a M35 by 1.5 pitch. It actually threads onto the end of that nose, but before you do that, there's a few steps you have to do. There are 6 Teryx machine screws that actually bolt on, that's magnetic as you can tell, that actually bolt on to the inside of the flywheel to the other section that we're going to pull off in a second. And that actually takes a size 40 Teryx bit to remove those. I used a small impact to remove those 6 screws that are right on the inside here. I also marked this bolt with the other piece that you'll see in a minute. All of this I have disassembled just to make the video quicker. So to get started, you need to put your crankshaft bolt in, thread it back in. Probably, I did it about halfway, and then I took the puller, gently thread it on here. Make sure you do not cross thread anything, and just run it all the way on till it's snug. Then you take the other piece that came with the puller, this bolt, and I'll run it in, and you'll just run that all the way in until it tightens up on the end of your crank bolt. And for this particular puller, it uses a 3/4 socket on this side, and it's got 2 machine surfaces here that you can hold with like a adjustable end wrench. You'll hold it in place while you attempt to tighten it, and it is under a lot of pressure. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but once you get it broke loose, you can take this, back your bolt out here a little bit, or just unscrew the whole thing, whatever you want to do. But just for purposes, I'll remove this. Get that out of the way. Take the main body or housing off there. And of course, take your crank bolt out again. It's about the 50th time I've screwed this thing in and out over the last week. So your flywheel itself, or stator housing, I'm going to call it stator housing, is loose now. You can see there is a keyway here. So when you're pulling it off, be careful not to lose the small key. It's right inside here. I'll pull it a little bit if you can see. And that goes right on the end of your crankshaft snout or nose, whatever. So the rest of your flywheel assembly is right here, and I'm just going to kind of, again, I told you I marked here, and I marked on this side with a permanent marker. Clean the oil off real good, and that way when it goes back together, at least you'll make those two things together the same. But I'm just reaching back behind the flywheel gear and kind of pulling or pushing on this piece, and it comes, a little effort, but it comes off there. That's that. And then before you can actually get the flywheel gear off, one of your starter gears are holding it in, so you just gently tug on it and it just pops right off just like that. Pretty easy there. And then last but not least, your actual flywheel gear. Got a small bearing on the inside. So that's where we're at now. Next step, I'm going to begin removing the timing chain assembly and the chain guides and all that. That way I can start at the top of the motor on each side, each cylinder. I'll start removing the valve covers and the dual overhead cams and start continuing my disassembly so that I can get to that bevel gear and replace that bad bearing. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching. I'd appreciate if you want to subscribe and keep watching this project. Again, thank you for tuning in.